check out this hat. It is a Black Rifle Coffee hat, which I've always liked their clothes, but it's called a range hat. And you can see on the top, there's no button on it, so that when you go to the shooting range and put your ear pro on, it doesn't stab in to the top of your head. That's always been so annoying to me. When I saw that on their website, I was like, that's a genius idea. I'm sure there's other companies that have been doing it for years, but I just found out about it. All right, y'all, today we're gonna do a video that I actually have filmed once before, like a year or two ago, but I wasn't happy with the video, so I didn't upload it back then. But it's an idea that I've had for a long time. It's been done to death on YouTube. I'm not like starting a new trend here, but everyone has different opinions on this stuff, and I get tons of new, viewers and subscribers, people that are new to guns, that are asking questions about guns, pretty much on a daily basis at this point. So I thought today we would go over the top 5 guns that I think everyone should own. Keep in mind, this is just my opinion. Everyone's opinions are gonna be different on this. I'd be happy to hear from you guys down in the comments on what your top 5 is and maybe why you agree or disagree with my list. So keep in mind that these are not in order from best to worst or most important to least important. This is just my random list of 5. So the first gun on my list, and this one is number 1 for a reason, is the pump action shotgun, specifically the 12 gauge pump action shotgun. I actually brought out the 20 gauge for today's video just because I haven't shot it in a long time, but the 12 gauge is definitely gonna be a better option. So the reason that this is number 1 on my list mainly is because of the versatility that you can get out of a shotgun. The options for ammo and all the different uses that you can get out of a 12 gauge shotgun are pretty much endless because of that wide variety of ammo. So I've got a couple of them out here, but pretty much anything that you could fit in this shotgun shell right here, you could use as a self-defense load out of a 12 gauge shotgun. So we have birdshot in the gun. We've got some number 4 buckshot right here. You can see we got a 1 ounce slug in this one. We got mini shells. I believe this is a mini slug. And I mean, there's dozens more. I have a cabinet full of exotic shotgun ammo, and all of it is super effective. One thing about 12 gauge shotguns, they're really effective and really deadly weapons, especially if you use the right ammo. So with that in mind, you could also use a 12 gauge shotgun to hunt just about any living animal on planet Earth. So big land animals like deer and elk and stuff like that, you could definitely take out with a powerful shotgun slug. Birds, geese, ducks, flying animals, you obviously have birdshot for that. And then for self-defense or home defense, we have number 4 and double-aught buckshot and stuff like that. It's pretty much endless, the options that you have for ammo. So that's the main reason why I think the shotgun is probably the most versatile weapon on the list. There's not too much that you can't get done with the shotgun, and if you only could buy one gun or you could only own one gun, I would probably say get a good 12 gauge shotgun, because like I said, you can do just about everything with them. Now obviously, one of their disadvantages is super long range. Like, you're not gonna get out to 1,000 yards with a shotgun slug unless you're a lot better than I am. I don't know too many people that can do that, but for the most part, they're good out to maybe a couple hundred yards, if that, a little closer even. Within that close, like, self-defense range, shotguns are super devastating, and we've proven that multiple times here on the channel. They're also really affordable. This is probably the cheapest gun that I have on the list today, and it's definitely one of the most effective. So you can't go wrong with a good pump action shotgun, and that's why I think everybody should own one. Oh yeah. All right, the next gun on my list today is the AR-15, because America. So obviously these are the most popular rifles in the country for good reason. Everyone seems to have an AR-15. They're super modular. You can customize the crap out of these things, and I think people really like that about them. They're also pretty lightweight, easy to shoot, light recoil. The 5.56, I'm sure most of you know, is a really soft shooting round, and it's effective enough. It's definitely not the most powerful rifle caliber out there, despite what a lot of the mainstream media likes to say about these guns. They're not the most powerful rifles in the world, but they are effective, and they're really good self-defense tools. They're also pretty similar to what the military use. Obviously they have select fire, and they can, do full auto and burst and stuff like that. But the semi-automatic AR-15 is easily the most popular rifle in the country, and it's not not even close. So like I said, the way that you can customize an AR-15 is kind of unique. There's not a lot of guns out there that are more modular than an AR-15. You can just put stuff anywhere you want to and really set these guns up specifically for you. Lightweight guns, lightweight ammo, super soft shooting, so you can get a lot of rounds on target really quickly. The ammo is usually readily available. It's funny watching videos from like 6 or 7 months ago and me talking about how plentiful the 5.56 and 2.23 is in the gun shops, and now I can't find a single box. But typically the 5.56 is a really common caliber that you can find everywhere, and that's another big selling point for the AR-15. So the AR-15 will also allow you to shoot longer range than something like the shotgun that we just talked about. Obviously these will stretch out quite a bit further than that. So seems like everybody has an AR-15, and if you don't, you should, because they're awesome. All right, I can't shoot the steel because this is a rifle, but I got a couple paper targets we'll hit. Hit the barrel. All right, the next gun on my list is the AK-47, or really any 30 caliber semi-automatic rifle. But I like the AK, and you guys are well aware of that by now, but just the durability, reliability, you know, how battle proven it is, and just the insane reputation that well-made AKs have is the reason that this gun is on my list. So there are more effective and more modern 30 caliber rifles like AR-10s, you know, SCAR-17s, stuff like that, and they shoot the 7.62 by 51 or the 308, which is definitely a more effective caliber than the 7.62 by 39. But the 7.62 is a pretty big bullet, definitely super effective, and in most cases probably more effective than something like the 5.56 from the AR-15. But there are some downsides to the 7.62 over the 5.56, like the weight of the ammo, the recoil of the ammo. You know, these are not nearly as soft shooting as something like an AR-15 because the 7.62 is a bigger, heavier bullet. It's also going to drop off quite a bit quicker at longer range. It's not as flat shooting as the AR-15, or even a 308 is going to stretch out quite a bit further than the 7.62 by 39. But if the pros outweigh the cons, the AK is always a good choice, and there's a reason that this is the most popular rifle in the world. Definitely a little more kick to it. Now, one gun I have to give an honorable mention to is the AK-74. In my opinion, this gun perfectly bridges the gap between the AR-15 and the AK-47. It gives you the insane durability and reliability of the AK with the recoil and the accuracy of the AR-15. Now, obviously these aren't as modular as the AR-15. You can see I put an Ultimac rail on mine with an Aimpoint red dot right there on that. But out of the box, you definitely can't customize these like you can an AR-15, but you do have that durability and reliability. And for SHTF, this is probably my #1 gun, and I love the AK-74. So had to put it on the list. So much fun. All right, the next gun on my list is the semi-automatic pistol, preferably one big enough to fight with, but small enough to conceal and carry if you had to. In my opinion, the Glock 19, or that size of a pistol, is perfect to fill that role. Now, this is the Glock 23. I actually don't have a Glock 19, but this is identical to the Glock 19. It's just a 40 instead of a 9mm. Now, another gun that I've really been falling in love with lately, actually, it's my carry gun, and I do have it on me, is the SIG P365 XL. And this gun holds 12+1, so 2 less rounds or 3 less rounds than the Glock 19. But you can see it is quite a bit smaller in pretty much every way, and especially in the grip, this gun is quite a bit easier to carry than something like a Glock 19. And because the grip's long enough to get all your fingers on, you're not really sacrificing a whole lot in terms of recoil and how easy it is to shoot the gun. So I like the SIG P365 XL a lot as well. But the advantages that you get with a pistol are pretty obvious, and I'm sure most of you would agree that this is one that should definitely be on the list. Now, I don't have a revolver on the list, and I know there's a lot of revolver guys out there who would probably replace this with a revolver. If that's what you prefer, then absolutely that would fill the role. But I do like having more rounds, and with some of these modern semi-auto pistols, you can get crazy amounts of rounds and pretty small guns. But obviously, like I said, just super small, super concealable. You can use them one-handed. You can, do other stuff with your offhand. You can holster the gun and have both hands available if you need to, go hands-on or do pretty much anything. Pistols are definitely the best at filling that role. Obviously, the calibers are usually not as powerful as something like a rifle or a shotgun, but that's one of the sacrifices that you make to get a small and concealable gun like this. Now, I will say, pistols require more practice and training to get good at. Most people can shoot rifles and shotguns better than pistols if they haven't got a lot of time shooting handguns, because they are harder to shoot well. But anyone can get good at it with a little bit of practice, and in normal society, the pistol is about the only gun that you can get away with concealing and carrying and using for self-defense in those situations. So that's why the semi-automatic pistol is on my list. We can finally hit the steel. You gotta love the snappy recoil of the 40. All right, the final gun on my list is one that I actually don't have, as ironic as that is. But number 5 is a good long-range sniper rifle, basically. This is definitely on my short list of guns to buy, but I actually haven't gotten around to getting one yet. So there's a number of different calibers that you could choose from when you're selecting a long-range rifle, and you could also decide whether to go with bolt action or semi-automatic. Typically, a bolt action gun is going to be more accurate, but with some of the modern semi-autos that they're coming out with, they're usually more accurate than you're going to be anyway. So I know a few good calibers just off the top of my head for a longer range, like the 308 is actually still pretty good for reaching out at longer range if you have the right gun and the right barrel length. The 6.5 Creedmoor is another one that's really flat shooting at longer range. Not as powerful as some of the other options, but the 6.5 Creedmoor is one that I'm really interested in. The 338 Lapua obviously is a tremendous rifle, and those can reach out super far. I think some of the farthest sniper shots in combat history have been taken with the 338 Lapua, and they're pretty powerful, and they can shoot like 2 miles. So a 338 definitely wouldn't be a bad choice. I know the new Army sniper rifle is the Mark 22, I believe, and I think they offer that in 308 and 300 Norma Mag, which is a really interesting caliber as well. So with a little bit of research, you can determine which caliber would be best for you. But obviously, you can just imagine the benefits that you would get from a good long-range rifle and why I put one of these on my list. I will say, in normal civilian life, you probably wouldn't have too many uses for one. Obviously in the military, they're a tremendous asset, and if crap ever hit the fan, then obviously it would be a huge benefit to have one as well. And that's a big talking point that everyone is kind of stuck on right now. So in that situation, yes, a long-range rifle would be almost a must if you ask me. But I don't have a ton of experience with them. I have watched 1,000 videos on them, and I'm really fascinated with long-range shooting. Unfortunately, I don't have a big enough range to do any long-range shooting, but one day we will, and we'll definitely shoot some longer range stuff. So I'm not going to go into details on which gun to get. I haven't really got enough experience to do that. I know the Mark 22, I believe it's the Mark 22 ASR. Those are like 16 grand, and they have interchangeable barrels with a 308 and a 300 Norma Mag. They just look awesome. I've seen a couple of videos on them, and it's about the coolest long-range rifle that you can imagine. So if you're rich and money's not an issue, then that would obviously be a great choice. The 50 BMG is another one that a lot of people kind of mistake for a really good long-range rifle. Like, it definitely can be used for that, and people have made shots, at a mile away and stuff like that with the 50. But that's not what the 50 was really designed for. It's more of an anti-vehicle, just a penetrating round that can pretty much destroy anything. So for precise long-range shooting, I don't think the 50 would be the best caliber. There's definitely better choices out there, and lighter weight, flatter shooting rounds than the 50 BMG. But if you're looking to do maximum damage, then yeah, 50 cal would obviously be the gun to do that. That said, I do want a 50 BMG. It's like the best YouTube gun ever, but I don't have 10 grand to spend on a Barrett, so I probably won't be getting one anytime soon. But long range shooting is kind of its own science and its own little world. There are people who just live and breathe for extremely long range rifle shooting, and I look forward to getting into that in the near future. But you can use your imagination and decide for yourself whether or not a good long range rifle would make your top 5 list. It's definitely on mine. Well, that is going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, this is just my opinion and my top 5 list. I would be glad to hear from some of you guys in the comments on what your list is and maybe how it differs from mine. But I've been wanting to do this video for a really long time, and like I said, I get questions quite often, believe it or not. You know, people asking which gun should they get, or they can only get this or that, which one would you pick, and stuff like that. So I just thought I would go ahead and knock this video out and give you guys my top 5 list of guns that I think everybody should own. So hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know down in the comments, and as always, hit that like button for me. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.